Hello, welcome back to another episode of the She Ascends Circle Lounge. Danielle here with Behati and Kay. We are continuing our series on things women don't say out loud. Today we're going to talk about I love them, but I'm not happy. So this one might be a little uncomfortable, but we're going there because that's what we do here. And because there are women right now that are either watching or listening to this who love their partner, love their family, love the life they built, and still feel unhappy. And that part nobody wants to admit out loud. Because how do you say nothing is technically wrong, but something doesn't feel right? And how do you explain that, you're grateful, but also unfulfilled? So today we're talking about the silent disconnect, like the kind that looks fine on the outside, but still feels empty on the inside. So this one is layered, ladies. So let's talk about it. Have you ever been in a space where like everything looked fine on the outside, but something just didn't feel right internally?
Hell yeah.
Yes,
You've been married. You've been married for
absolutely.
decades. It's bound to happen
Yeah,
repeatedly. My husband and
yeah.
I were actually having this conversation the other day. Real quick story. We got married at 19 years old. And so the first 5 years, um, as we progressed through those 5 years, I started to notice like I don't feel like he loves me. And again, being that young, you're still trying to define like what love is, what self-love is, and all the things. And so there were some moments where we divvied on our path, but we came back and we were talking about like what brought us back, right? Because that could have went left and right and been done. We could have been done after 5 years.
Yeah.
But we knew we loved each other. And what we realize now, 30 plus years later, is we didn't have self-love for ourselves. We put the onus and the responsibility of feeling love on someone else, and that wasn't fair. But now we know how to love ourselves. And I'm going to just quote Mother RuPaul, who says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else? Can I get an amen up in here?
Yeah.
And
Amen.
you
I
find that what the hell is self-love? And I have journeyed over the last decade trying to understand what that is by taking agency back and saying, my mother's not responsible for my happiness. My daughters aren't responsible for my happiness. My dogs aren't responsible for my happiness. I am responsible. What does that look like?
Yeah.
And so I've had to learn self-love, self-care techniques without it being selfish. And there is a thin blurred line between being selfish and self-love.
Yeah.
And that line for me was that no harm is done. There's no expectation, right? Like I'm not taking something from someone else to fill my cup. I'm filling
Right.
my own cup through the things that are readily available all around me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kay?
Well, and to add to that, I fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I've been married more than once, and yeah, and I've done a lot of work on myself through therapy and self-reflection, a lot of reading. Bahati, your book is phenomenal, by the way. I'm just going to mention it.
Thank you.
It's a great reminder that I needed to take an inventory and figure out the parts of me that I was shaming, not accepting, denying, not healing because I was afraid to look at it. And that cost me. It cost me dearly
Yeah.
in relationship with myself. And I realized that if I didn't take the time to heal those parts of me and to learn self acceptance of all my parts, the
Mm-hmm.
good, the bad, the ugly, the messy, the tidy, the whatever, the too much, the not enough, I had to accept it all.
Yeah.
You know, to me, that was the beginning of self love.
Mm-hmm.
And the more healthy I became, the more I realized the areas in my relationships that I had given my power over
Yes.
to them, to my ex-husbands,
Yeah.
and expecting them to fill those holes, and they never could,
Yeah.
nor should they.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the hardest thing for me to say, this is not working.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved myself enough to exit this relationship, not just for me, but for them too, because these men were not bad men. They were good men. They really were. Flawed as we all are.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized, there is someone out there for me, and I'm happily, joyfully married now. And found my soulmate. And it's a completely different relationship than I've ever had because I'm different.
Sure.
And I realized it starts with me.
Mm-hmm.
I quit pointing the finger.
Yeah.
And realized these other fingers that were here. And I started taking responsibility for me.
Yeah. That's real. Totally can resonate with that. I also have been married more than once. Twice. I'll put it out there. The first one was he wasn't an all bad guy, but there were a lot of issues. It could have been because we were still fairly young, in early 20s, and trying to navigate through that. We were together before that. We just weren't married until later on. We already had a child, and he had things within himself that he needed to work on. And I hope today he's finally gotten that under control, because it was very controlling and abusive in all aspects. And so starting early, I lost myself in that relationship. And I always thought that, you always are trying to do what it is that you think you need to do to make that person happy. And, went into the second marriage with a different mindset on certain things, like not tolerating this, which I didn't have that in the second one. And everything started off great. Somehow there was just something changed. And, he kind of did a 180 on me when I never expected us to have any issues. But again, I used to always be the type of person that I would kind of follow their lead in a relationship. So I lost myself. And after so many years, you don't even realize that you've disappeared from your own life because you've been so busy embedded in someone else's. Mm-hmm. and going with that flow. And I'm not married again. I'm finally got engaged, but it's been a totally different journey, because we've been together longer than I was married to either one of my husbands. But and now we're even in different states. But I mean, we're still rolling on, and I'm concerned about getting married because I mean we'll have to make some decisions, but that's a whole nother thing. But again, it's not going to happen if. I'm not saying he's got to conform to my way, but we're going to try some things Danielle's way because we've tried some things your way because I was willing to compromise. But I will never lose myself and who I am in a relationship like ever again. And I've learned that over time. And I think we just, a lot of times, as women, we do that, or we're afraid to, things could be good. And you might see like women where you look on the outside and you're like, man, she's got this great husband and this great life and they've got this and they've got that. Why is she still not happy? And she's the only person that would know that. But she stays in those type of situations. And this is just a broad person I'm making up, because she feels guilty if she says anything about it, like, hey, like that it's not you, it's me type thing. Kind of like, it's not you, but I'm empty. I still just don't feel something. Something's missing. But I don't want to say that because I don't want to seem like, I'm ungrateful for like this great life I have, or I don't want to feel like, I don't want to come across as being a bitch because I got this great guy or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know. Why do we think maybe like so many women do that? Like, why do we feel guilty about being able to acknowledge the truth on how we feel?
Well,
Well,
I think part of it too really comes back to knowing ourselves and accepting all those parts of ourselves.
Mm.
And for me, having a partner in my life that brings out the best in me, encourages the best in me, and also accepts all the not so great things, um, and lifts me up and holds me accountable to being the best version of myself in a caring, loving, and supporting way. That, for me, I finally recognize is what I require in all my relationships, by the way, not just my romantic relationships,
Yeah,
friendships included.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think a lot of issues arise when we decide that we're going to accept less than the best for ourselves. And we feel like, well, maybe I don't deserve
Mm-hmm.
receiving the best
mhm.
and what I need, and because of this, that, or the other. I think for myself, and I can only speak for me.
Mm-hmm.
I spent years in that mode of feeling less than,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like I didn't deserve. I was even afraid of being happy,
Mm-hmm.
afraid of it. It would physically hurt
Mm-hmm.
me if I got too happy,
Yeah.
So then I settled,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't serve me. It didn't serve my partner. And I think for a lot of women, that happens.
Yeah.
What do you think, Bahati?
Yeah.
Read the question again. Well, I hear it, but I want to make sure what I'm thinking as a response. Kind
So, like, why do so many women um, feel guilty about expressing how they feel? Like, how come
yeah,
they can't give themselves permission to acknowledge that truth if they feel emotionally dissatisfied, but
yeah,
nothing's technically wrong?
yeah. So it's a learned behavior. I'm going to go back to what we said in our previous session, which is women create life. We create humanity. Period.
Mm.
We can argue that another time scientifically, but we are the only ones by which life comes to Earth, right? Humans come through us.
Yeah.
So we innately, in code, feel responsible for human life.
Mm-hmm.
So when human life is not flourishing, we feel guilty. It is our fault. But what we tend to forget is that once that life reaches a capacity for knowledge and taking action and all the things, we're almost a little bit relinquished for that. And I'll use the analogy of being a parent because I am a parent of two daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And so I struggled with their well-being, their happiness. Like, it is my responsibility because I brought them into this world that their lives are great and perfect. And as they evolve into women and they take different courses in life, I had to struggle with not getting involved in softening the blows of the life lessons that they were experiencing, and allow them enough space to feel it and to interpret what that needs to mean for them and to shift and change their behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
All along while that's happening, I'm learning that my parents didn't have much of a capacity for loving me because they didn't love themselves because they were not raised in a loving environment. And so I sat in between this kind of parallel between how do I become a better parent to my daughters, but also how do I express love differently? So I literally had to study love. What does love mean? And I explored it through the spaces that I was introduced to, which was religion.
Mm-hmm.
I was recently asked to be an ordained minister for a wedding. And so I started to write out the, what is it called? The
The
script,
vows?
the vows. Yes. And this downloaded to me the other morning. I'm not going to read it all because this is especially for them.
Yeah.
But I started to express what I learned about love. And love is the most precious gift that we can offer another. It is our sacred superpower. It has a signature scent and it is our favorite flavor. It has a sound. You can see it. It is patient, but it won't wait. It is kind, but it will lovingly discipline and redirect that ass. It does not envy and it does not boast because God is love. So if I believe God is love, what does that mean? God disciplines us.
Mm-hmm.
God course corrects. God gives and takes. And so I had to embody what love is in order to love myself. And then I can see all around me like, oh, I still love my parents even though they didn't have the capacity. Oh, I can still love my daughters and watch them struggle. We had to redefine, we women have to redefine what love is for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about that guilt, that is taking ownership for why do you feel guilty? Where does that story originate from? What did love mean in the past and what does that mean for you going forward? And when you're here, you can only define it from here, from today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well said.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is a great way to end this week.
What is love?
I love that.
So for those that are watching or listening, for the woman who just feels this, you're all good, but something's just not right and you haven't said it out loud yet. Just give yourself permission to face that and know that it's okay. How you feel is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You're entitled to your feelings, you're entitled to your emotions, you're entitled to be happy. And on that note, we will end this week. Another great episode of the She Ascends Circle with Behati and Kay and Danielle. And whatever's good for your soul, do that. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.